Hello chaps, I'll be brief. I just want to tell you about a new product I've got for sale. It's called 100 Essential Blues Licks, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It literally is just 100 essential blues licks, like this one. Or this one. Or how about this one? As you can see, all of the licks are demonstrated and they're all tabbed out in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, and you also get all of the backing tracks that you need to practice them along with. The price is just £20 plus VAT, which works out at a nice round 25 quid. There's no scales to learn, there's no theory to go through, there's not even any talking in this little package. It literally is just 100 essential blues licks. If that sounds like the sort of thing that you're interested in, a way of expanding your blues soloing vocabulary, check out the link in the description and learn 100 essential blues licks. Thanks for watching, folks. Look after yourselves. Bye for now. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday today, and that means a top 5 list, and well, as I always say, you've seen the thumbnail and read the title, so you've got a broad expectation of what I'm going to be talking about today, and that is 5 essential chord sequences that you need to learn. We'll discuss why they are essential and why you need to learn them later on in the video, but let's just have a little bit of housekeeping first. Throughout this video I'm going to be using terms like 6 chord and 4 chord and 1 chord and 5 chord and that kind of thing, and I don't want to take it for granted that everybody is au fait with the necessary jargon. It's often off-putting if you're not. So let's just start off with getting that out of the way. Here is a major scale going up the length of the 5th string, like this. I'll play it for you. It goes like this. There you go. So you can see I'm playing the open, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th and 12th frets, and that gives us the root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and then the octave root of the major scale. Very recognisable sound, you know, basically do, re, mi kind of thing. So if we were to start on an A note, as we have there with the open 5th string, the notes we get are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp and A. So the C sharp is the 3rd note of the scale, the F sharp is the 6th, the D is the 4th and so on. And then if you do a little bit of jiggery-pokery and turn each of those notes into a chord, that selection of notes there will give us these chords: A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, and the G sharp diminished E kind of thing there, and then you're back to an A major again. And what we do is essentially we number those chords using Roman numerals like this. So A is the 1 chord, B minor is the 2 chord, C sharp minor the 3 chord, D the 4 chord, and so on and so on. So that's what I'm going to be meaning when I'm talking about the 1 chord or the 6 chord or whatever as we move throughout this video. So let's get rid of all of that. Let's take a look at exactly what these 5 essential chord sequences are, starting with
the 12-bar blues.
Yes, indeed, the 12-bar blues. Now, it would be so easy for me to sit here and say This chord sequence underpins songs like Johnny Be Good and Smokestack Lightning and Hoochie Coochie Man and Good Golly Miss Molly. But we know all that. We know that this chord sequence, let's have a look at it. There it is, in the key of A. All of these examples are in the key of A, and you can see this uses the A, D and E chords, the 1, 4 and 5 chords in the key. It would be so easy to kind of point out that this basic chord sequence underpins blues and rock and roll, but we know that. But did you know it also crops up in Michael Jackson's Black or White, in Kiss by Prince, Mercy by Welsh songstress Duffy, or how about a Disney song, Kiss the Girl from the Little Mermaid movie, or Give Me One Reason by Tracy Chapman. All of these songs are based on the 12-bar blues and many more. So the moral of the story is it doesn't have to be an obvious blues song for it to have the chord DNA of the 12-bar blues based on the 1, 4 and 5 chords. Next.
The 1, 6, 4, 5 sequence.
Yeah, this one's sometimes called the doo-wop sequence, and if we just take a look at it here, it's based on the 1, 6, 4 and 5 chords, as you would expect, because it's the 1, 6, 4, 5 sequence. In the key of A major, that represents the chords of A, F sharp minor, D and E. And it's a perennial old favourite, this one. Songs like Stand By Me by Ben E. King, or if you just kind of arpeggiate the chords and add a ninth into them, you get Every Breath You Take by The Police. Crocodile Rock by Elton John, Chain Gang by Sam Cooke, and Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston, representing something a little bit more contemporary. This chord sequence is arguably exactly the same as the next two that I'm going to mention, but because they use the same chords. But they all have the same chords in a different sequence and therefore give a slightly different sound. This one is pretty important. It can be carved up in various numbers of ways, and you can insert other chords into there. You could, for instance, change the D major chord to its relative minor of B minor, and you've got a jazz standard chord sequence, the 1, 6, 2, 5. I nearly put that on the list, but the way I've got these chord sequences is I asked Google and I did the AI thing, and apparently these are the 5 most widely used chord sequences in popular music, according to Google AI. So yes, you can, as I say, you can mess around with this one. There's a lot of scope to insert other chords and just shuffle things around a little bit. But many songs are based upon this basic sequence here. Let's see what's next.
The 1, 5, 6, 4 sequence.
Yes, as I say, take the same chords. There they are in a different order. So instead of being 1, 6, 4, 5, it's now 1, 5, 6, 4. This one is the chord sequence which is referenced by the brilliant Axis of Awesome. I'm sure you've seen that video where they point out that this basic sequence underpins just about every hit that you can imagine. A few that they mentioned: Don't Stop Believing by Journey, Let It Be by the Beatles, Paparazzi by Lady Gaga, Take On Me by Aha, and No Woman No Cry by Bob Marley. Yeah, if you want to write a hit, then start off with this chord sequence. Basically, it's got a proven track record, shall we say. So let's see what happens if we swap these chords around into a slightly different order.
The 6-4-1-5 sequence.
Yes, the 6-4-1-5 sequence. Again, exactly the same chords as the previous two sequences that we've looked at. But as you've heard with these little demonstrations that introduce each of these clips, the sound is noticeably different each time. That one there that I did there, I ended up thinking, actually, that sounds a little bit familiar with that riff that I put on over the first couple of chords there. And I thought, oh, it's Radio Nowhere by Bruce Springsteen. Now, that's a song I've only ever heard. I've never actually worked it out, but, it turns out that that song is based upon this as well. Other songs which are largely, kind of based upon this, or sections of them would be Peace of Mind by Boston. If you just take this chord sequence and repeat it in an endless loop, you get Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry. It's My Life, the chorus of it by Bon Jovi, that uses this, as does Complicated by Avril Lavigne. And once again, if you just take this basic sequence and just loop it for the entire length of the song, you get Zombie by the Cranberries. Now, to the uneducated or unseasoned listener, the idea that Peace of Mind and Zombie by the Cranberries have anything in common is not immediately obvious. And that's the point I'm trying to make here with all of these examples, is that sometimes the same basic chord sequence can be the engine room of many very different sounding songs. And this one is a case in point. Next.
The 1-flat-7-4-1 sequence.
Yes, now, as we looked at the beginning of the video, the A major scale has the notes of A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp and A. So the seventh note is G sharp. So if we flatten that, we get a flattened seventh, that becomes a G. And that gives us the chord sequence of A, G, D and A. Technically, this is no longer in the key of A. This is basically in the key of D major, but we're focusing on the A chord. So we can kind of say this is in A mixolydian, if you want to get all modal about it. Massively widely used chord sequence. It's Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. It's Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. It's Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's the outro, which is actually the longest part of the song, of Hey Jude by the Beatles. And anyone remember back to the early 90s, a band called Roxette? What was their biggest hit? A song called The Look. Well, that's the chord sequence for that as well. So, would you have thought that, let's think, Hey Jude and Sweet Child of Mine had much in common? Would you have thought that Roxette's The Look was in any way similar to Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones? These things aren't immediately obvious. if you're not kind of listening for them. And let's get rid of this. It's the act of recognizing and listening to these chord sequences and becoming familiar with them that has a number of benefits. If you get familiar with the sound, you'll recognize them whenever you hear them. Okay, and that means that, you're developing your ears, you're kind of becoming a seasoned listener, and you can hear what's going on in a piece of music and therefore learn it very easily, or relatively easily, when it comes to trying to figure out what's going on. Anyone who's ever played in a covers band will know the value of doing this, or anyone who's ever just learned songs for the pleasure of playing them at home, or around the campfire or whatever, will recognize that sometimes the internet isn't always right when you look up the chords for a particular song. So it's a good idea to be able to figure these things out for yourself and to learn to recognize these things. It also teaches you about intervals and what they look like on the fretboard. Yes, we're dealing with chords here, but chords have root notes, and if you can kind of map where these notes are on the fretboard, then you can learn what the root note of the one chord to the root note of the sixth looks like. So you can learn what a sixth looks like on the fretboard. It's getting that sort of link established between what you're hearing and what you can see on the fretboard. It has value in that sense. And the other thing, of course, is it kind of gets you exploring some chord changes that perhaps you wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards. Again, playing in covers bands, you get to a point where you're in a band and you're playing covers, and you've got a Chris Rea song in the set and you've got a Queen song in the set. No singer can kind of get down into the growly Chris Rea territory and up into the kind of high Freddie Mercury territory, without sort of, let's say, transposing some songs. So learn what these chord sequences are in every key. You will explore your fretboard. I have students who come to me that experienced players, but you ask them for, what chord is that if you play that shape at the 9th fret or at the 11th fret? And, bar chords above about the 6th or 7th fret, they're a little bit shaky on. If you feel that's, a bit of a grey area for you, if that's something that you're not too, kind of familiar with, or you want to brush up on these things, then get to know these chord sequences in every key, and you will learn the neck, you'll learn intervals, your ears will thank you for it. And the other final reason is that if you know the basic building blocks of songs, then every time you learn a song, you're just assembling these pre-assembled parts. You're not having to learn a song from scratch. You're not having to remember a song in all of its detail, because you just, as I say, you're dealing with prefabricated pieces that you can just kind of bolt together, and it makes learning, remembering and performing songs from memory much, much easier. So there you go. Those are the 5 essential chord sequences, and I think some good reasons to get to know them. Let me know what you think. Did I miss any? Or did Google AI miss any when it gave me this list? Let me know what you think in the comments. And that is the video for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it? And of course, don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and we chat. A great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.